Now this is one of the best, strongest, and fastest Endgame Twister Huntress build in POE 2. With this build you can easily clear tier 16 maps in under 5 minutes depending on the map layout. This build is so strong that it can easily destroy groups of enemies and melt bosses in seconds. And this build is cheap and really easy to make. I have spent less than 1 divine orb to make this build at this current market, but be aware that prices do change, so the cost might be different in the future. I'm going to showcase the skills, gear, and passive skill tree to easily dominate the endgame. So I highly recommend you to watch this video from the beginning to the end to see how everything synergizes. So let's check this out. So first I'm going to show you clearing a tier 16 map, and as you can see this is a level 80 area which is a tier 16 map, and I'm currently level 88. This build can easily destroy groups of enemies and shred bosses. Now this build is an endgame build, so you'll need to get defense and max out your elemental resistance to not get one-shotted. Now our main source of damage comes from combining the skills Whirling Slash and Twister to unleash devastating AoE damage, and you only need to use Whirling Slash and Twister when speed clearing areas, but when fighting rare monsters and bosses you'll need to use your other skills to maximize your damage. But I'll go over the skill rotation for speed clearing and also for maximizing your damage in another section in this video. And with this build I am stacking tons of critical hit chance and critical damage bonus to easily clear the entire screen of enemies with twisters. And this build includes many skills that synergizes with each other, offering a lot of powerful combinations. But I'll cover everything in more details in their dedicated sections. And I'll have the full build layout in a POE 2 build planner in the description below. So next for the skills. Now I do want to mention that only my Twister skill is 6 links to maximize its damage, but all of my other skills are at most 4 links. So the first skill I'm using is Whirling Slash, and with this skill you'll do a circular slash that creates a whirlwind, and if the whirlwind is on an elemental ground surface it'll take the element's property, and you're mainly using whirlwind to create more twisters because Twister is our main source of damage. And for the support gems I paired it with Martial Tempo, and this will increase whirlwind's attack speed so you can cast whirlwind faster. I'm also using Magnifying Effect, which will increase the whirlwind's area effect. And lastly I'm using Rage, which will generate you rage when hitting enemies with Whirling Slash, and gaining rage stacks will increase your damage. The next skill I'm using is Twister, and this is our main damage dealing skill. With this skill you'll form a twister which damages and blinds enemies, and when you use Twister inside a whirlwind you'll create more twisters. And if Twister passes through an elemental ground surface or consumes an elemental whirlwind, the twister will gain extra damage of that element. And if you increase the quality of Twister you will have a chance for an additional twister to be cast. And for the support gems I paired it with Persistence, and this will increase the skill's effect duration so your twisters will stay out longer. Next I paired it with Acceleration, and this will increase Twister's projectile speed. I also paired it with Concentrated Effect, and this will greatly increase your twisters damage, but in return it will have less area effect so your twisters will be smaller. Then I paired it with Deliberation, and this will increase twisters damage, but in return you will move slower when casting Twister. And lastly I'm using Heft, and this will increase your twisters physical hit damage. And really quickly checking out my twisters critical hit chance. The estimated critical hit chance for my Twister is between 80% to 100% depending on the enemy's distance, so my twisters will critical hit majority of the time. The next skill I'm using is Barrage, and this will empower your next projectile spear attack to repeat multiple times. So you want to empower your Twister skill to create more twisters, and if you increase this skill's quality the empowered twister will do more damage. And for the support gems I paired it with Premeditation, and this will increase the damage of the empowered skill. I'm also using Arcane Tempo, and this will increase the cast speed of Barrage so you can set up Barrage faster. And lastly I paired it with Ingenuity, and this will increase the cooldown recovery rate of Barrage so you can use Barrage more often. The next skill I'm using is Frostbolt, and with this skill you'll cast the Frost Orb that creates a chilled ground. So the chilled ground will make your twisters do cold damage which can freeze enemies, and when freezing enemies you'll gain frenzy charges because of a passive skill Combat Frenzy. And with the frenzy charges you want to use it with Barrage, and the Barrage will empower twisters more so you'll cast even more twisters. And for Frostbolt support gems I paired it with Despoiler, and this will increase the duration of the chilled ground surface that Frostbolt creates. I also paired it with Scattershot, which you will fire 2 additional Frostbolts so you can cover more area, but in return your Frostbolt will do less damage and it will have less cast speed. But we're not using Frostbolt for damage, we're just using it to create a chilled ground surface. The next skill I'm using is Disengage, and this skill will make you quickly attack and jump back. Now we're mainly using this skill to jump back, which is a good survivability tool, and I'm using a level 1 skill gem for Disengage because it'll cost the least amount of mana. And for the the support gems, I paired it with cadence, and this will just increase the attack speed so you can jump back faster, and you don't need to worry about the second part where you're unable to use it for 10 seconds because this skill has a cooldown and you can't use this skill 6 times within 4 seconds. I also paired it with Holy Descent, and this will create a consecrated ground when you jump back, and what consecrated ground does is that you'll gain regenerated life per second, and curses have reduced effect on you while you stand on the consecrated ground. And lastly, I paired it with Suffuse, which will increase the area effect of your consecrated ground. The next skill I'm using is a passive skill, Wind Dancer, and this will greatly increase your evasion rating. And for the support gems, I paired it with Precision, and this will greatly increase your accuracy rating, which is important to increase your critical hit chance because of the node critical strike on your passive skill tree. I'm also using Cannibalism, which you will recover your life when you kill an enemy. But I do want to mention that if you don't have a lot of spirit, then you can take off this support skill. The next skill I'm using is Combat Frenzy, and this is a passive skill that will grant you frenzy charges when you freeze, electrocute, or pin an enemy. And you can easily freeze enemies when you use Frostbolt and Twister. And we're going to use the frenzy charge on Barrage so you can empower your twisters even more. And for the support gems, I'm using Profusion, and this will give you a chance to grant an additional frenzy charge. I also paired it with Clarity, and this will increase your mana regeneration rate. But if you don't have a lot of spirit, you can take off this support gem. And the last skill I'm using is Tame Beast, and this is a passive skill that will summon a rare beast that you captured. And for the rare beast, you're trying to capture a beast with the monster modifiers that has some sort of auras that increase your stats, or a beast that can create a elemental ground surface. So for my Tame Beast, I have Haste Aura, which will increase my movement speed and attack speed. And for the support gems, I paired it with Loyalty, and this will increase your survivability because 10% of the damage hits to you is redirected to your Tame Beast's life, but in return your Tame Beast will have less maximum life. And lastly, I'm using Last Gasp, and this will make your Tame Beast live 4 seconds longer after their life is reduced to 0. And in the high tier maps, your Tame Beast does lose life really quickly, so this support gem is really useful so your Tame Beast lasts longer on the field, and your Tame Beast is really good for taking aggro and tanking damage. But I do want to mention that if you want to use all these passive skills and support gems, you need to have extra spirit, so you want to get spirit on your chest piece and your amulet. Okay, so that's all the skills I'm using for this build to easily destroy groups of enemies and shred bosses, and I'll have the full skill layout in a POE 2 build planner in the description below. Okay, so next for the gear, and I do want to mention that my full gear layout costs less than 1 divine orb at the current market, but just be aware that prices change and the cost can be different in the future. Now I'm just going to go over the important stats on my gear, and some of my gear has the stat increased rarity items found, and this stat is not important when it comes to damage and survivability. This stat will just make you find better items when clearing maps, and I'll have my full gear layout in a POE 2 build planner in the description below. So starting with the weapon, I'm using a spear, and you want to get high physical damage and tons of accuracy rating. The reason you want a lot of accuracy rating on your weapon is because of a node on the passive skill tree, the penetrate node, which will increase your physical damage of your weapon based on your accuracy rating. And because this build has almost 100% critical hit chance, you want to get as much critical damage bonus as possible. Next for the armor pieces, and for the armor pieces you want to mix evasion with either armor and or energy shield, because just getting pure evasion isn't great because there are some attacks you can't evade and some of those attacks can one-shot you. So having armor and or energy shield mix in will help you from not getting one-shotted. And you also want to add some max life with your gear to prevent from being one-shotted. And most important, you want to max out all your elemental resistance to greatly increase your defense and survivability. And you also want to get attribute stats like dexterity, strength, or intelligence, because getting attribute stats will allow you to equip better gear and higher level skill gems. So for my helmet, I have armor and evasion rating, and on the helmet you can get accuracy rating and critical hit chance. Next for the body armor, I have armor and evasion rating, and I have tons of elemental resistance. And you want to get spirit on your body armor to equip your passive skills. Next for the gloves, I have lightning resistance, chaos resistance, and increased critical damage bonus. On my belt, I have strength, cold resistance, and chaos resistance. And on the boots, the most important stat is movement speed, and you want either 25% or 30% movement speed. And I also have all the elemental resistance on my boots. Next for the rings, now on my first ring I have tons of accuracy rating and tons of elemental resistance, and I actually found and crafted this ring. The second ring I have cold resistance and chaos resistance, so I can cap out all my elemental resistance and chaos resistance. And on my amulet I have accuracy rating, critical damage bonus, and plus 13 to all attributes. But what's important is to get spirit on your amulet so you can equip all your passive skills. And lastly, for my charm, I'm using a golden charm to increase my rarity of items found when you kill a rare or unique enemy. And if you checked out my stats, I capped out all my resistance, and I mixed in some armor and evasion for this build. Okay, so that's the full gear layout for this build, and all my pieces of gear that I bought costs less than 1 divine orb. And just be aware, you don't need to get increased rarity of items found. That stat is just to get better items, but doesn't affect your damage or survivability. And I'll have my full gear layout in a POE 2 build planner in the description below. Okay, so next for the passive skill tree. Now for the passive skill tree, I did focus on getting critical hit chance and critical damage bonus to greatly increase my damage. Now I'm going to quickly go over my passive skill tree, going over the important nodes and show you the leveling path I took. But I'll have the full passive skill tree layout in a POE 2 build planner in the description below. So first I headed this way and got all these nodes. And then I headed down this way. And I took these nodes, which will increase your attack damage and skill effect duration, so your twisters will last longer on the field. Then I headed this way and took all these nodes, which will increase your projectile speed for your twisters. Then I headed this way and took these nodes, which will increase your critical hit chance for attacks and increase your accuracy rating. Then heading back here, I headed this way and took these nodes, and these nodes will increase your projectile speed, attack speed, and accuracy rating. Then I headed down here and took these nodes, which will greatly increase your critical damage bonus. Then you want to head this way and take this jewel socket, and you want to take all the jewel sockets you can find, because jewels will greatly increase your damage. So for this jewel, I have increased attack speed with spears and increased critical damage bonus with spears. Then you want to continue this way and head up here and take these nodes, which will increase your attack damage. Then from here, you want to head down and you want to take this node, Dance with Death, depending on your stats. Now, if you do need to use an offhand, then you can skip this node, because an offhand will increase your defense and survivability. So an offhand will prevent you from getting one-shotted. But with my current gear, I don't need an offhand because I have tons of defense and I capped out all my elemental resistance. And with this node, you'll greatly increase your skill speed if you're not using an offhand. And increasing your skill speed will allow you to clear maps a lot faster. And with my build, I can clear tier 16 maps in under 5 minutes, depending on the map layout. Then you want to head this way and get these nodes, which will increase your movement speed and skill speed. Then you want to head this way and get all these javelin nodes, and these nodes will increase your damage, attack speed, critical hit chance, and critical damage bonus when using a spear. Then you want to head this way and take all these nodes, which will increase your accuracy rating, and this node will increase your attack speed based on your accuracy rating. And then you want to continue down and take this jewel node, and with this jewel I have increased projectile speed, increased attack speed with spears, and increased critical damage bonus with spears. Then you want to head down and take all these nodes, which will increase your accuracy rating. Then you want to head up this way and take these nodes, which will increase your critical hit chance or attack. Then heading back here and then go up this way. Continue up and take all these nodes here, and all these nodes will increase your critical damage bonus and critical hit chance. Then you want to continue up and take this jewel node, and this jewel node will increase my evasion rating, attack speed with spears, and increase damage against rare and unique enemies. Then continue up and take all these nodes up here, which will increase your critical damage bonus. Then head back here and go left this way and take these nodes, which will increase your evasion rating and dexterity. Continue heading left this way and take all these nodes, and these nodes will increase your dexterity and attack speed, and this node will increase your attack speed based on your dexterity. Now in the future, when I level up higher, you want to take this node, which will increase your movement speed and your evasion rating. You also want to take all these nodes back here, and these nodes will increase your critical damage bonus. Okay, and next for the Ascendancy. Now I chose the Amazon Ascendancy because the Amazon Ascendancy has nodes that will greatly increase your damage and critical hit chance. So for your first 2 Ascendancy points, you want to head this way and take this critical strike node, and this will greatly increase your critical hit chance based on your accuracy rating. And for the next 2 Ascendancy points, you want to get this node Predatory Instinct, which will grant you reveal weakness against rare and unique enemies. And what reveal weakness does is that it will reveal a highlighted part on the enemy's life bar, and you will greatly increase your damage to enemies when their life is on the highlighted part. And for the next 2 Ascendancy points, you want to take Penetrate, and this will greatly increase your weapon's physical damage based on the accuracy rating on your weapon. So you want to get high accuracy rating on your weapon. And for the last 2 Ascendancy points, you want to get this node in for the kill, and this will greatly increase your movement speed and skill speed when an enemy with an open weakness is in your presence. Okay, so that's a fully optimized passive skill tree for this build as of right now. And I'll show an updated passive skill tree that's at a higher level in the POE 2 build planner. And I'll have the full passive skill tree layout in a POE 2 build planner in the description below. Okay, next I'm going to show you the skill rotation for this build. Now, if you're just speed clearing and fighting normal white enemies, then all you need to use is Whirling Slash 2 or 3 times and then Twister. And your Twister should easily one-shot all the white enemies. I usually just use Whirling Slash 2 times and then Twister. Now when fighting rare enemies or bosses, you want to do your max damage rotation. So you want to use Frost Orb to create a chilled ground, rolling slash 3 times, barrage, and then twister. And doing this rotation, you should kill any bosses within seconds. And I do want to mention that you can use barrage anytime during the rotation, because barrage has a long duration and only twister will consume the barrage. So you can use barrage whenever it's off cooldown. Okay, so thanks for checking out one of the best, strongest, and fastest endgame Twister Huntress build in PoE 2. With this build, you can easily clear tier 16 maps in under 5 minutes, depending on the map layout. This build is so strong that it can easily destroy groups of enemies and melt bosses in seconds. This build is really cheap and easy to make. I have spent less than 1 divine orb to make this build at this current market. And with this build, you should easily dominate the endgame. And I'll have this full build layout in a PoE 2 build planner in the description below. Hope this helps in more PoE 2 videos to come. So stay tuned. And in the end,
there can be no salvation without sacrifice.